Despite the swirling rumors of a potential delay due to the ongoing Hollywood actors' strike, it seems as if the sands of Arrakis are still set to shift onto IMAX screens as scheduled. Dune Part 2, the much-anticipated sequel to the 2021 sci-fi blockbuster, is still slated for release in November of 2023. In this video, I'd like to cover the most recent developments that reveal an increased likelihood that the release of Dune Part 2 will in fact not be delayed, and how it appears poised to dominate IMAX screens for an extended run. The film industry is currently facing simultaneous strikes, with the 160,000-member Actors Union joining the striking writers, who are also seeking improved compensation and safeguards against losing work to AI, among other things. While the strike continues, actors are required to abstain from promoting their upcoming films. Amid these circumstances, a report from Deadline suggested that Legendary Pictures was contemplating pushing back Dune Part 2 from its initial November 3rd release to an unspecified date in 2024. However, recently the CEO of IMAX, Richard Gelfond, expressed his strong conviction that the film would maintain its current release timeline during an earnings call on July 26th. Gelfond said, "In terms of Dune, my own opinion is that it's highly unlikely to move, and it's an educated opinion, meaning I spent a lot of time on the facts. So Dune is already in the midst of a marketing campaign. There are trailers out. There's lots of materials out. They had a big presentation, a lot of the conferences. As a matter of fact, Denis Villeneuve presented at the IMAX CEO forum. So it's kind of out of the gate. So if you put it back in the gate, you've got to duplicate those expenses at some time in the future by putting it out of the gate. In addition, Dune has a very long runtime in IMAX, up to 5 or 6 weeks." This rationale provided by the IMAX CEO holds substantial weight when viewed through a purely business-oriented lens. Given the fact that the promotional machinery for Dune Part 2 is already in full swing, any alteration to the film's release timeline could negatively impact its profitability. Although the predominant rationale circulating online suggests that a delay to 2024 could provide a completely unobstructed field for the film's release, as it stands, Dune Part 2 currently enjoys a uniquely advantageous position. The only box office competition the sequel will have is The Marvels, which will be in its second week when Dune releases. However, considering the notable decline in interest in new Marvel offerings, as well as the significant difference in genre and tone between the films, it appears that the threat of competition is minimal. Additionally, the sweeping visuals and grand scale of Denis Villeneuve's sci-fi epic are a perfect match for the larger-than-life IMAX experience. As Gelfond brought out, Dune Part 2, which was shot entirely in IMAX format, is currently set to run 6 weeks. This exclusivity at IMAX could serve as a driving force for the film's visibility, allowing it to gain traction via word of mouth in the weeks following its release. Gelfond further reinforced the value of maintaining Dune's currently scheduled IMAX run, saying, "It just was fortuitous that there were no other conflicting projects. But if they were to move that to next year in some time, it's highly unlikely that they would have that amount of runtime. And just to remind you, IMAX was about 20% of the gross on Dune 1. And I know there's a lot of marketing planned on Dune 2. If they move Dune 2, there's a carrying cost. Call it 10% or whatever it is. So how are they going to make up for that cost across the other incremental costs? The IMAX release is a really important element to their release pattern, and as I just said a minute ago, I don't think it's replicable for them to have that kind of runtime again. So when I look at it from their point of view, from a dollars and cents numbers perspective, it just doesn't make any sense to me that they would move it. Considering these factors, this statement reinforces the idea that from a purely monetary viewpoint, a delay in the release could impose unnecessary financial burdens that the current release strategy can comfortably avoid. Gelfond went on to discuss the articles reporting on the delay rumors and to push back against the concerns about potential hindrances to marketing efforts due to the ongoing actor strike, saying, "Again, the only reason they would move it is, they'd say, the actors' strike is going on and they want to get a premiere and put it on The Tonight Show or wherever they put the actors. But with no disrespect to Timothée Chalamet, are you going to be able to make up for losing the 6-week IMAX release? Are you going to be able to make up the cost of capital and carrying it for a year? Are you going to move it to an uncertain year when you have no idea what's going to be put against you when they have virtually no competition right now in the marketplace? It doesn't really make any sense. When you look at the other movies, I think that's one of the most compelling not to move. But you could go through all of them and the same logic kind of applies. I think I've talked to the distributor that Warner Brothers, they don't know where that article can go in the press. And I don't. They've certainly told me that that article is not true. So all I can do is give you my logical perspective on it, but I feel quite strongly that it's not going to move. The crux of Gelfand's argument here lies in a simple cost-benefit analysis. Would the benefit of actor-led promotions, including appearances on talk shows, outweigh the considerable costs and risks associated with postponing the film's release? By posing this question, Gelfand is downplaying the impact of such promotions. While no disrespect is intended towards Timothée Chalamet, the fact remains that the value of his promotional appearances may not compensate for the losses incurred from the delay. Namely, forfeiting the 6-week IMAX release window, the capital and carrying costs for an additional year, and the potential competition in an uncertain 2024 market. Perhaps most importantly, Gelfand mentions his conversations with Warner Brothers, who confirmed that the speculation regarding the film's delay is unfounded. Ultimately, Gelfand ends his discussion of Dune Part 2, affirming his strong belief that the film will not shift from its planned release schedule. While the current actors' strike does pose potential challenges, it's safe to say that the advantages of the cinematic landscape in its current release window should prove to outweigh any promotional loss from the strikes. For fans eagerly awaiting the sequel, this comes as great news. The planned November release, coupled with the ongoing extensive marketing campaign and the lack of immediate competition, could very well set the stage for Dune Part 2 to dominate both the box office and the biggest possible screens, thereby solidifying Villeneuve's Dune as an increasingly influential powerhouse of a cinematic franchise. But I'm curious to know what you think of the IMAX CEO's comments about Dune Part 2. Do you have confidence that this extended IMAX run could easily make up for the loss of promotions by the actors? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more Dune and other sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. Thank you all so much for your support, and as always, have a very nerdy day.